activity today.
I'm glad to hear that.
They're just always so valuable. Okay, so welcome back to our challenge for anyone new that's joining. I think everyone's returning. I'm Cheyanne. These are our ladies. They're amazing, and I'm super excited. I always love when we get in the middle. It's where things tend to really start getting warmed up. And it's always sad when we wind up, but it's a nice experience to go through. These are my little housekeeping pieces. Everyone knows I've hit record. We're good to go. If you want to connect in the chat, feel free to use it. The prep, we have some audio intros and some prep activities if you want to go in and do those. If not, our sessions are live 9 to 10 every day and replays are available. Okay. Quick recap of what we have done. Carrie was here on Monday, not just to announce the end of weekend in the groups and the emails. She was also here to talk to us about building our own community and really intentionally building the networks around us that help to lift us up. Really, really valuable. And we can all see why we want to have agency around that. Yesterday, Jen Dawson talked to us about our affair with resistance. This is one that's really good to revisit. I've done these type of activities for quite some time, and I am still building my skills. I notice every time you come back to one of those activities where you're observing yourself and trying to track what's happening, you get better and better at it, and you get more and more insight from it. Today, we have Michele, who's going to talk to us about nurturing our nervous system for the end we really want. One of the deep core truths of entrepreneurship is that because we are the mechanism that we are creating our business through, we really need to be able to invest in our own states. And our nervous system plays a big role in our business. From a marketing consultant lens, I would even say when I am assessing a client fit and that kind of thing, I can tell whether it's the nervous system blocking their marketing and their business growth, or it's a logistical piece like a poor product market fit. There's a lot of times it's our nervous system that's actually what's standing between us and our business goals. Tomorrow we have a Jennifer Zylstra, which I went and practiced her name to make sure I said it properly. And she's going to be talking to us about the unconscious. I love it. It's going to go really well with Michele and Jen's from yesterday. And she's going to be talking to us about working with your inner business partner. And Friday is Stacy. She's going to talk to us about time management and building a schedule that is an unhurried entrepreneur, which I really love. A lot of focus on hustle, hard to be regulated if you're dominating yourself through hustle. So this goes really well with today's as well. She's going to talk to us about simple practices to create time, space, and ease in our business. Today we have Michele. Michele is a nurse psychotherapist. She EFT is the tapping practice that she uses. Yes, Wendy, I see your comment there. Stacy is amazing. She really knows how to bring time management into practicality. Really, really love it. Michele is going to bring us into our cells today. So there's going to be an activity. She's going to walk us through a grounding activity. First, she's going to talk to us about the concepts behind nurturing our nervous system and connecting it to this goal of getting to the end we really want. Really excited for it. Michele, I'll hand it off to you. Thank you for being here, and I'm really looking forward to this.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Cheyanne. I'm happy to be back, and thank you for inviting me here again. And it's funny you were mentioning that presentation that I did. Like, that was the very start of this business. So like I'm kind of coming into 3 years. So that was my very first presentation. And of course, it was on the nervous system because that's kind of a really big part of what I do. And it informs my practice. Everything I do is through a nervous system lens. So and so, yeah, so thank you for that little memory there. And so hopefully people are not sick of me coming in and talking about the nervous system, but I do think it really is pivotal. I learned in my own journey through like a severe anxiety and depression, just how essential a piece it is. And I was somebody who had a lot of things down. Like I knew about like positive thinking and mindfulness and awareness of mind body connection and even feeling the feelings. But I didn't have nervous system regulation. And so it really is a big piece. And so just to kind of formally introduce myself, so I'm Michele Venema. And I'm the owner of From Shadows to Soullight Counselling, and I provide virtual online counseling for adults of all ages. And it's like a heart-led and holistic path to reclaiming you beyond anxiety, OCD, depression, and trauma. So I'm going to share my screen now. Oh, there we go. So yeah, so the title then just kind of blending into Cheyanne's theme. I love how the themes that Cheyanne comes up with. And I immediately loved this with this one, starting with the end in mind. And so the agenda for today, this is just a really little sort of a little nutshell agenda here. But again, I just loved the theme because it brings the idea really of the holistic, that everything is circular. So, you know, things are interconnected, things are interrelated. And so when you're talking about beginning and ending, they're actually, it's a circle, right? They actually go together. And that fits in so well with nervous system regulation and what I'm going to talk a little bit about today. So we are going to go through a little bit of a grounding exercise in just a few moments. And then we're going to do a little tapping exercise at the end. And for those who are not familiar with that, I will explain that when we get there. And then we're just going to touch in the middle of that kind of, you know, just very lightly on the nervous system, really just kind of more so why does it matter, what it is, and then how it impacts the end that you really want. So we'll just start with a land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and the Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte First Nation, and we are grateful to live and work on this land, and we honor its Indigenous stewards, past, present, and future. And just a quick little disclaimer that, of course, this is just for educational purposes only, so it's meant to, you know, to complement rather than to replace any therapeutic relationship or any medical or mental health treatment that you may require. So you've probably seen this slide before. And so just before we kind of get into the grounding exercise, I wanted to just sort of explore some common business stress scenarios. And one of them, of course, is just the news, which I just heard this morning. I know many of you have heard as of Monday. But there's an example of something that just kind of lands in and you kind of feel it, you know, you can kind of feel with this one, it's more of a, I don't know, like for some people, it might have been more of that sort of like that shock and gasp. For me, it was kind of more of that sort of like a pulling down, sort of sinking kind of a feeling. But you get these sort of jolts, you know, of business stress. And certainly within business itself, it could be something like sending out an email, you know, and you forget the attachment, which I did last week. Or you have something like, you know, you have your registration link and you put it out there and now you're getting calls and emails that it's not working. So, you know, things like that, right? Or those pieces of news that we get. And so what that is then is that we can, as we sort of reflect on these types of scenarios, we can kind of get a sense of what's happening in the body, you know, when we receive these things. And we can get a sense of a shift that's happening from that relax, everything's going along fine. And then all of a sudden there's this uh-oh moment, right? There's a shift. So it could be something like a jolt, or it can be like a gasp. It's often physically a gasp, even though we may not be conscious of it. There's a contraction or a tension that happens. And so these are examples then of the nervous system in action, where the stress cycle begins. And so with that indrawing of breath or that contraction, we are then, sorry, my papers are sticking together here. So basically then we're waiting for that exhale, right? We're literally waiting to exhale. And so it's a cycle that needs to be completed. So we're waiting for that physical sigh of relief. And that's the sign to the nervous system and to the body that the stress cycle has completed. And so oftentimes, you know, we're moving on with all kinds of things, you know, and there's all these things over here that have still not completed. And so this is why stress is not just stress. And I'm always saying the stress is not just stress. I have a blog on it too, on my website. Because the fight, flight, and freeze responses are the stress cycle. They're the beginning of that stress cycle that needs to be completed. And so it's not always about this running from the bear scenario. Obviously, we are built for that. If there is, an actual physical danger, we are built to handle that. And we will, our bodies will kick in to keep us safe. But what we're really talking about here are those sort of like little assaults that happen on our nervous system every day, especially in the type when we're in business, when things are fast paced, when there's a lot of moving parts, and then just life in general, right? So we end up then caught in this survival stress, living our lives out in contraction, in tension, in tightness, in shallow breathing, waiting for that exhale. And that just takes a toll on our bodies. So that's going to impact us on all levels. And that's kind of why too, that audible sort of purposefully sighing, taking that can actually be one of the little tools in your toolbox to kind of bring in, to just kind of helps to, to help the nervous system, know that it is safe. So now that we've kind of indulged in a little bit of activation in terms of talking about some of those things, that can happen in business, some of those stresses, and we do have the heaviness of that news of weekend. What we're going to do now, and then also too, you may have some stress cycles even just from getting ready this morning and getting here for 9 o'clock that are still not completed. We're going to go into a little bit of a grounding exercise together. So what I'm going to invite you to do is to just get comfortable, in your chair. I just invite you to shift and move in whatever way just feels supportive to you in this moment. And I just want everybody just to take care of yourself. I don't anticipate that as we go through things that there's going to be anything that's going to be triggering for anyone. But, if you need to take a moment, if you need to go off camera, if you have your eyes closed and you need to open your eyes, like do what you need to do to take care of you. Okay. So I'm just going to invite you then to close your eyes if you are comfortable. And if you're not comfortable closing your eyes, then just lower your gaze. Okay. And what I'm going to have you do then is just bring attention to the parts of your body that are touching the surface beneath you. And perhaps even behind you, depending on what type of chair that you have. Just notice how heavy those parts are. And then I want you to just bring attention down to your feet. And you're just allowing your breath to be whatever it is in this moment, but just bringing your attention down to the feet. I want you to breathe as if you're breathing in and out through the bottoms of your feet. And we're just going to stay here for a few breaths, just breathing gently and normally, as if you're breathing in and out of the bottoms of the feet. If your body wants to take a deeper breath, that's okay. You can let it do that. Just breathing gently as if you're breathing in and out of the bottoms of the feet. And then I'm just going to invite you to you're going to take a nice deep breath again from the feet, but you're going to follow this breath now all the way up, breathing fully and holding at the top. And then letting it out slowly when you're ready. We're going to repeat that full conscious breath, following that breath all the way up, holding at the top, and then letting it out slowly. And now I'm going to invite you to visualize a white fluffy feather floating above your head. And if you have trouble with visualization, that's okay. Just go with whatever sort of feelings or sensations the words bring you, okay? So white fluffy feather floating above your head. I just want you to imagine that feather just beginning to float gently downward through the top of your head to land just behind your eyes. And this feather is bringing softness as it moves downward. So if you notice any tightness or tension as we move down, just allow it to soften as much as it's ready to in the here and now. And then allowing that feather to continue to float gently downward and just to land just behind your throat, in your throat area. Again, inviting softness. And then allowing that feather to continue floating gently and softly. And now it's going to land in your heart space. Just continue to breathe normally, allowing that feather to continue its journey downward until it lands right behind your belly button. And just notice if your belly softens when your attention gets to your belly, to your abdomen. And then allowing the feather to continue to float gently downward, and it's going to land this time right at the base of your spine. And again, bringing softness as it does, just allowing any tension or tightness that you find to soften as much as it's ready to in this moment. We're going to leave the feather resting there at the base of the spine. We're going to continue to bring the attention downward through the hips and through the seat, down through the upper legs into the knees, and then down the lower legs into the feet, into the toes, into the heels, to all of the feet. And again, we're just going to breathe gently for a few breaths, as if we're breathing in and out of the bottoms of the feet. Then we're going to take a nice conscious breath in, so that full breath from the feet, breathing all the way up, holding at the top, and then letting it out slowly. And then one more time, breathing all the way up, full breath, holding at the top. And when you're ready, just let it out slowly. And now I'll invite you to just wiggle your toes and your fingers. Again, you can invite any movement into your body that feels supportive. And there's no mad hurry here, but when you're ready, you can just gently open your eyes. Okay, so I hope everybody feels a little bit more relaxed than when we started. We kind of brought the energy from the head down into the body, which is the big aim of nervous system regulation. And I know I'm supposed to be looking at the camera, but I keep looking at everybody's faces. So I hope that's okay. It's the connection. It's like, so, okay. So I hope that's not annoying for anyone. Okay. So nervous system regulation. So very simply, like we're talking about, nervous system regulation, and like this is just 4 components. It's not necessarily an absolute list or anything like that, but these are kind of 4 of the main components when we're talking about nervous system regulation. Obviously, it's a lot more complicated than this, but we're just doing a very brief overview today. So one of the components, of course, is feeling the feelings. A lot of people want to skip over that part. Or there's awareness of feeling the feelings, but how do you access the deeper feelings? But feeling the feelings is a very key component of that. Embodying the body, so that coming out of the head, coming into the body, that's that somatic element. You'll see the somatic word a lot, and somatic really means of the body, but that's what it means, is really bring body into the process. We can be very intellectual up in our heads. So we really want to bring the body into the process. Cleaning up the past, for some people, looking back at the childhood can be really, really helpful. Doing, it can involve like shadow work, inner child work, Sometimes it can be helpful to get help with that. A lot of people, it's very common to not even know just how affected they might have been about their childhoods. But those sort of repressed and suppressed feelings and memories can really kind of fuel that nervous system alarm and cause a lot of dysregulation just because of its presence in the body. And then the daily practice, of course, right? So there's the practice to kind of get yourself regulated, and then there's the daily practice of continuing that healing and that maintenance. Because I said earlier, things can build up, so we want to make sure that we are staying on top of it as much as we can. So really, we're talking about balance here, right? Balance between the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, which are the two main branches of the nervous system. So when we're referring to the sympathetic nervous system, we're talking about that awareness of threat. We're talking about those fight, flight, freeze responses, which are the nervous system in alarm. They're those biological, biochemical, automatic responses that get activated to help us to stay safe in order to face the danger and move past it. And then when we're looking at the rest, digest, repair, we're looking at this chance to relax, to recover, and to really just be feeling safe. And this is why we nurture the nervous system and why regulation matters, because we want to complete the stress cycle. So we don't want to be staying in that sympathetic place for any longer than we really, really need to. We are in a very fast-paced society and world. So we have all become very, very used to living in that space. For a lot of people, it can be hard to even get to this place. But we absolutely can, and it's a really important place to be. So we're moving from that sort of, that gasp, that contraction place to everything is okay, I can relax, I'm safe. And this is very much about, it's not an intellectual thing. It's not enough to know. You might even know with your rational mind that you're safe. But it's a physical embodied knowing. The nervous system has to feel safe. And so ideally then we have this like healthy sort of balance flow between the two systems. And it's not just about the physical, it's also about the emotional too. So the physical needs that rest, digest, repair, but the emotions need that rest, digest, repair too. All of our systems do, even our mental system, our thinking, all of that needs that rest, digest, repair as well. So when we're looking at sort of the end that we really want, so prior to this, I did give you a couple of questions to ponder, and we're not going to do anything with it today. So, whether you did it or not, it's okay. But I did give some questions to ponder, kind of similar to what I would give clients when they first come on board, to kind of help them to look ahead, not just at their end goals, but how do they really want to feel, and how do they really want to feel in their body? And so, of course, each of you are, in business, and that, of course, necessarily comes with goals and planning and targets, that have to necessarily go along with that. But you want to, in order to expand your business and continue to grow. But what do you really want at the end? So how do you really want to feel once you've achieved your targets? How do you want your body to feel? So it's not just, did you make your revenue target, but are you rested? Are you sleeping okay? Do you have good energy? So what do you really want at the end, if anything? And so this is where we come into well-being, really, which is, so again, we're not just talking about physical well-being, we're talking about the emotional, the spiritual even. And this, of course, is not any sort of exhaustive list. And you don't have to read through them all because I'm going to speak to each of them. But these are some of the things that nervous system regulation can offer us, some of the benefits of nervous system regulation. So sleep and energy, of course, go together. And again, we're not talking about perfection with any of these. We're talking generally, do you have good energy? Do you have a sense of vitality? Are you generally feeling well? Are you enjoying life? Are you able to switch off and have some relaxation and some periods of playtime? Do you have a general sense of enjoyment with the things that you are doing in your life, within your business, and even beyond that? Are you generally feeling good in your body? Are you even in your body? Or are you just always up in your head? Do you have a sense of feeling steady? So like a sense of certainty, inner confidence, clarity, focus. And again, not about perfection, because we all have our moments. Are you able to use your voice? And not just in terms of words, but also the actions that you take for yourself. Are you able to set boundaries, taking that pause, taking something off your plate, making some readjustments, knowing your limits? And then with regards to resilience, so we can build up resilience, and we can learn to notice when we are more activated, and then we can then also learn to move more quickly back into rest. And of course, no one is in that rest, digest, repair 24/7. We are, it's never the goal. We are, we're human beings. We're having that experience, but we can build a stronger foundation that we can rest on and that we can bounce back from. And self-regulation is a skill. So it's something that we build up. It's a skill that we have to practice. We learn it and then we practice it. And it's not just about the physical strategy. So there are many that, for example, might be quite happy to do a cold plunge, but do not ask them to sit in their feelings. So it's not just about the physical. And ultimately, it is our job to regulate ourselves. It's not somebody else's job to regulate us. We need to regulate ourselves. In terms of self-worth and value, whether the goal comes to fruition or not, sometimes we don't meet our targets, or sometimes, we have a certain timeline and that just doesn't happen. But can we still have a certain sense of self-worth and value? So we can live life from a more grounded place where we're not completely blown away, or at least not for long, when things do happen, because, life is always in flux, right? And particularly business is always in flux. So, and it's important to note here, I just want to say that, especially kind of like with the state of the world right now, we are responsible for our own regulation, and our nervous system doesn't just impact us individually, it impacts all levels. So family, community, systemic, global, it's impacted by those things. And so, it doesn't mean that there aren't things that need to change. So we can be responsible for our self-regulation as much as we can, but there are things, that do need to change, that do need to be addressed. And that can also help us to regulate our nervous systems when we can look around and take responsibility for some things, or do what we can. If somebody's in an abusive relationship, or there's inequity, or there's oppression, they can't just be asked to regulate their nervous system. If somebody, doesn't have a roof over their head, they don't have stable housing or food. So, of course, they're in survival mode. So, and also too, then in terms of reacting, sometimes when we have like a dysregulated nervous system, we may overreact or we may underreact to things, but sometimes our reactions are right on. We might hear something in the news and we're angry or we're upset. And that's okay. Like, that's what we need to be feeling. That's, a normal human response. So it's not just, about like, oh my God, I need to be, I'm just so dysregulated and I can't do this. Well, like, look at, just some of the things that you've just been listening to. It's hard. So that's just, I just want to just add that in. I think it's only fair. Okay. So this is where we tend and cultivate and nurture the nervous system. And our well-being then is optimized when we do nurture the nervous system and we treat it as an ally. This is really kind of like the ultimate in self-care, when it becomes sort of something that's a mindful daily practice for you every day. So no matter the outer goals, then we're taking care of ourselves now. We're taking care of ourselves as we go along. It doesn't have to even be this major separate thing. We can incorporate it into our day. We can be in our feet during the meeting. And our well-being matters now. So it becomes sort of more of a felt sense. rather than sort of focusing just on those, like that KPI, right? That key performance indicator. So instead of sort of always just focusing on like the revenue conversions or targets, although of course they do matter, they fluctuate, right? Those are the things that we really can't control. But we can control our nervous system. We can learn to manage it. And then that can help optimize our well-being. Okay, so in terms of practice then, we are going to do a little bit of a practice together, but I just wanted to sort of review. So with regards to kind of what we just did with the grounding exercise, where we were bringing attention into the body. And I used kind of a series of a few different strategies. I just blended those together in those few minutes, and that all it was just a few minutes. And obviously there's lots of things out there where you can, sit and take things a little bit longer, take time every day to do that. But when we look at things like coming into the body, how do you get into the body? So one of the really good ways is doing a body scan. And I use the feather to kind of take us through a little bit of a body scan, but you can just take a few seconds to just go from the top of your head down to the tips of your toes. If you have a minute, or even just like when you go to the bathroom or something like that, just take a moment to just scan your body from head to toe and just consciously relax the tension and tightness that you find, because all of that tension and tightness is just happening automatically. But we can kind of train ourselves to have attention to that, and then we can train ourselves to relax more. Bringing attention down into the feet is really, really good, especially if we do tend to be up in our heads. It helps bring that energy down. It helps bring our breath actually down into the belly so that we're not breathing up here. When we're breathing up here a lot, we're still very much up here. So just bringing our attention into the feet really does, it's a really good grounding practice. It brings you into presence and it brings you into the body. So it's really kind of about allowing the body to be used as an anchor into the present moment. Because sometimes, when people say, oh, I'm just going to be present, and you're just trying to I'm in the present moment, it can be a little out there, especially when you're already activated. So if you can just get into your body and let that be your anchor, it can bring you into that mindful presence that gets talked a lot about. Doing those conscious deep breaths, again, from the belly, but even just one conscious deep breath a few times a day can make a big difference. And Eckhart Tolle says that just one conscious breath is a meditation. So, that's pretty powerful. And I just wanted to see if I had something else to add here, because I thought I did. But no, I think that was it. So I'm kind of feeling, I hope there's no questions here. Like I'm talking really fast. We're going to go into the tapping in just a moment. And then there will be an opportunity for questions. But if anybody had like a really burning question right now, that would be okay. Are we good? Okay. Okay. So tapping comes from emotional freedom techniques, and it is like one of the main tools that I use as a framework in my counseling practice. And it's a really, really good tool because it kind of does all the things, in my opinion. So it gets you to touch in on the feelings, because we have to feel the feelings, and it gives you a tool to do that. A lot of people don't even know how to feel their feelings. But with tapping, it gives you something to it gives you a container, in a sense, to feel your feelings. It does calm down the nervous system. So it does calm down the amygdala, which is that sort of scanner for danger in the brain. And so it just kind of is constantly scanning for threats, and it can be overactive. So it helps to calm down that hyper alert. It does get the energy moving in the body. So emotions are energy. And when we suppress our feelings, they get stored in the body. So the tapping helps to get that moving. And it just it helps to bring us into the body. So before we get going with the tapping, we're going to be using the short version, which is typically what you see on social media. So if you've seen tapping at all, then chances are that's what you saw. And there is the popular tapping solution app. It's called the Tapping Solutions. And they use the short version as well. I will be doing a little slight variation from it. We'll be starting at the top of the head instead of at the eyebrow point, and I'll add in an extra point. But typically the reason that we see the short version is through social media is that it's just easier to teach. It's just faster. It's easier when we're looking at group. When we're looking at group tapping, we're doing something that's scripted because we've got how many people in front of us. But in an actual one-to-one counseling session, for example, there would never be scripted tapping. It's always focused on what's going on for the person in the moment, using their words, their feelings at the moment. There's a lot of dialogue happening. It's very collaborative, so it's not at all like what a scripted tapping looks like. But it can still be helpful. And so what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to demonstrate the points first, so that we, before we go into the actual tapping script, and then I will be tapping, so you don't have to try and memorize this or anything like that, but it just makes it a little bit smoother, I think, if I just go through the points first. So what we will be doing is we will be starting at the side of the hand, which is that, you can call it like a karate chop point, but it is the pinky. So whichever hand you use, it's the pinky side, and we will be tapping right at the side of the hand. Okay, so we will be doing that. And then we'll be going to the top of the head, and you don't have to do like the monkey thing. You can just with your fingers flat is fine at the top of the head. Okay. And then for the eyes start, there's 3 points around the eyes, and they start where your eyebrow begins is where that point would be. And when we're doing the eye points, we're tapping right around the occipital bone. So the eye bone that goes around the eye. We're not tapping in the soft part of the eye. We're not tapping on the eyeball. So we're tapping it. Don't poke yourself in the eye. We're on the eyebrow, and you can just use one hand, or you can use both. So some of the points you can just use the one hand, and some you can use both. So we've got the eyebrow, we've got the side of the eye, which is kind of that little divot, but again, on the eye bone, just kind of in the corners of your eye, but it's the divot there. And then under the eye, and excuse my glasses, but you're right at the center and on the eye bone. So not in the soft part of the eye, not down on your cheeks, just on the eye bone. Okay. And then from there, we're just going to do under the nose, and you can use just one finger or two. I typically use, for some reason, I just typically use my third and fourth, but you can use your index and third. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter which hand either. Okay. And then we're going to go under the mouth. So there's that divot on the chin there. And then we're going to do the collarbone. So the collarbone, you find your collarbone and you go just underneath it. And again, you can just do one hand, or you can do both. Okay. And the extra point I'm going to add in is the center of the chest. It's nice and easy to find. Okay, and then the last point is it's called under the arm, but it's really your side. So you're right at your side, kind of where your bra strap would be, and you just bring your other hand around to your shoulder, as if you're giving yourself a hug. Okay. All right. So the tapping script is My Wellbeing Matters Now. And so we're just going to go through a few rounds. I'm going to tap with you. And basically the way tapping works is that I will say the statement, and then you repeat it back, and you're all on mute. So just say it out loud, ideally. Okay. We're going to start with the setup statement on the side of the hand, and we're going to repeat that 3 times. And then we're going to go through the script. Okay. Sound good? Okay. I'm getting nods. So, all right. So, okay. So we're going to start at the, and just while we're doing it, we can do some tapping here at the side of the hand while we do this next step. I want you to give yourself a number with the statement, my well-being matters now. My well-being matters now. So how true is that statement for you? We're kind of on a scale of 0 to 10, and we're kind of going a little opposite with how we usually use this scale. So 10 is absolutely true. My well-being matters now. And 0 is that's not at all true for me. So where would you put yourself on that scale? You're not going to have to share it with anyone, but just tuck that in just kind of tuck that in the back of your mind. Okay, and we're going to move ahead with what we call a setup statement here. So even though, and then you're going to just repeat that, a part of me believes I need to push, hustle, or hold it all together to be successful. I'm open to the possibility that my well-being actually matters now. We can repeat that 2 more times. Even though a part of me believes I need to push, hustle, or hold it all together to be successful, I'm open to the possibility that my well-being actually matters now. And one more time, even though a part of me believes I need to push, hustle, or hold it all together to be successful, I'm open to the possibility that my well-being actually matters now. We're going to go to the top of the head, all this pressure to perform. We're going to go to the eyebrow, so many expectations. Side of the eye, the constant doing. Under the eye, I'm always thinking about what's next. Under the nose, this belief that rest comes later. Chin, I'm carrying so much responsibility. I'm going to move to the collarbone. My nervous system has been working so hard. Middle of the chest, just tapping softly. I'm holding it all together. And we're going to go under the arm. No wonder this feels like a lot sometimes. I'm just going to invite you to take a nice breath here. And let it out slowly. And we're going to go back to the top of the head. This pattern of pushing. Eyebrow. The hustle that feels familiar. Side of the eye. I'm feeling like I need to keep going. Under the eye, even when I'm tired. Under the nose. That I'll feel okay once I get there. The chin, to the mouth, once the goal is reached. Collarbone, once things slow down. Oh, I'm sorry, center of the chest. My body has learned this way of being. Under the arm. I'm worried if I stop, I will fall behind. Top of the head. What if this isn't the only way? Eyebrow. What if success doesn't require self-sacrifice? Side of the eye. What if I don't have to earn rest? Under the eye. Or earn well-being? Under the nose. What if it's allowed now? Chin under the mouth. What if I can afford to pause? Collarbone. What if I can afford to ease up just a little? Middle of the chest, alongside my goals. Under the arm, just noticing what that feels like. And again, I'll invite a nice deep breath here. Let it out slowly. Okay, top of the head. At the end of all this, eyebrow, what I really want. Side of the eye isn't just success. Under the eye, but feeling steady. Under the nose, feeling well in my body. Under the mouth, feeling like myself. Collarbone, supported from the inside out. Middle of the chest. A nervous system that isn't always on high alert. Under the arm. This is the end I'm working toward and that I deserve. Okay, I'll invite another nice deep breath here. And we're going to go into the final round. I don't have to figure everything out right now. Eyebrow, I don't need to rush. Side of the eye, I don't need to prove. Under the eye, my well-being matters now. Under the nose, not later. Under the mouth, not after I achieve more. Collarbone now. Middle of the chest. I'm allowed to start here. And under the arm, letting my nervous system settle, even just a little right now. So taking another nice deep breath here, letting it out slowly. Maybe kind of give yourself a hug. And then just notice if anything feels a little different. Notice if your number shifted. And we'll carry that with us. Okay. Oh, I guess I do have one more slide here. Um, so that's the end. I have no idea what the time is. I should have had a little clock beside me. I hope we're okay. Um, so I'll just, will I say this and then I'll open it up to questions? Is that okay? Because then I'm just going to come off of the screen. Okay. Um, okay. So just to let you know, then mentioned that I do virtual counseling. So I offer one-to-one counseling sessions. I do have a newsletter. It's called Nurturing the Nervous System, A Path to Reclaiming You. It's not a big commitment. It comes out monthly. And it has a little practice corner in there. So I do kind of a little blurb, and then there's a little practice. Then there's some sort of practice that I always suggest. I have the body scan as like a standing in there every time. There's a cue right there for the body scan. And if you're interested in some of the material too that I was talking about today, you can also check out, I have a blog, so there's a lot in there. I have a blog on stress is not just stress. I have the self-care stack by Sherry Lasheen is in there. But I also have a blog on like the power of rest, digest, repair, which talks a little bit more about what I talked about today. There's a breathing one, breathing yourself into balance. So, and there's a lot of, in a lot of them, there's a lot of little kind of just little strategy suggestions. So, and that's it. So I'm going to stop share and invite if there are any questions.
That was beautiful, Michele. I know the scripted part is hard because you like customizing it. I am always amazed at how deeply your scripts resonate. They're
Oh,
so
good.
right on. It's incredible the insight that you have. Anybody have any questions or comments or reflections for Michele? Quiet. Nilu.
Neela?
Thank you so much. And
Oh, you're welcome.
it was really powerful. And I just went to before 9 breath practice and Kundalini. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
really powerful. And I'm telling you, when I did all those like a practice afterwards, I really feel a big change in me.
Mm.
So today, because I really felt like a pressure here,
Okay.
a lot pressure. It means my body was really, I had a good sleep and everything. I took shower, I was relaxed, I really massaged my hair in the like oil in the morning, so it was very relaxing. But so because I just got some call and then thing happened and suddenly I felt like pressure here when I was doing up to third time exercise, so much pressure. And the last exercise is just like a scale just went around like 10, it's go down like in reverse. So I'm really relaxed, and this practice is really matters in my life or everybody's life. So thank you so much. It's a big
Oh, well, you're so
yeah.
welcome, and I'm glad that you actually felt that you felt a
Yeah,
shift.
yeah, because when we talked with ourselves, and even though they cannot say, like we cannot hear, but we can hear. So if your nervous system is not good, my left hand it's not working, where really not like last 3 months, it's very hard. And I'm just doing this kind of a practice last 2 weeks. I said, oh, I know, I means I learned this about practice. And
Mhm.
I think I go and say, tell, no, you are good, you are okay. I know medicine is matters, but I think this medicine is more matter than.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm really glad because it's hard when we're doing something that's like a group thing and it's a little bit more surfacey and general. And so I don't expect, people to have kind of, really big shifts. But that's nice that you did have a shift and that you noticed
Like,
a difference. And
yeah, so because the practice from feet up to here top, and I have done many times when you go step down, those kind of practice up to 10 ladder, go start from one ladder up to 10. When you step, imagine those kind of practice. So up to 10, you tired? No, yes, I'm tired up to 8. Are you tired on 10? No. When you go back down up to ladder 1, up from 10 to 1, so you can just make those images in your mind, Hey, no, I'm good. The first time when I just go up to 10, it is really tiring. When you go down after five, going up, oh no, I'm good. I'm good. My nervous system is working well. So those kind of practice, it's really
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah, it does really matter. And of course, we're not doing feelings here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank you
we're
so
not
much.
doing feelings either here. So we're just really doing the, just the physical kind of more relaxation, but certainly feelings are important too. And it can be a really good tool, to actually like where are you feeling in your body and what parts of your body and things like that is kind of what we ideally want to get into. But obviously,
I would,
in a group situation, it's a little bit harder to do that.
yeah, and I would like to connect with you soon. I have your email.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, Neela.
Michelle, I think these are so much more powerful than you realize. I know you have the perspective of like being able to getting really, really deep. I
Yeah.
always notice a shift. I think it's absolutely incredible how taking something as little as like 20 minutes or 15, whatever that was, I noticed a shift for sure. Karu?
Thank you, Michelle. It was good. I recently came back from my vacation and then I thought I rested, but I'm really weak, physically weak.
Right.
So I needed more rest from vacation. So
I get
I was in bed for like 3 days. So I realized because I love my job, I love my business, and always working, 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 right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this one really remind me to set like hard stop time, like I don't know, 8 p.m. and then relax and
Yeah.
yeah. So it's
Yes.
always going, 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 going. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you. It
Oh, you're
reminds me.
very welcome. It can be very, very easy to once you get going to stop and be able to unwind. And we
Mhm.
have to be very conscious of that and set it for ourselves. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. And sometimes easier said than done, but it's practice, not perfect, I always say.
Yeah.
But yeah, just being mindful and doing the little things, even just the littlest things can really make a big difference.
Yep, they can. As a business owner and entrepreneur, that hustle culture is so
Yeah.
incredibly prevalent, and you get caught on that. And once your nervous system is trained to be in that constant state of stress and alert, you have to intentionally invest in downshifting. It is not easy. It's hard generally as a culture, but add in the layer of entrepreneurship on top of that, and we have
Yes.
to push
Hmm.
against so many influences to be able to reclaim rest and restoration. It's incredible. Thank you very
Yeah.
much, Michelle.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Love it. I always love having you. It's never repetitive. It's always incredible. Deeply appreciate it. I'll talk quickly about what we have tomorrow. We have Jennifer Zilstra. She's going to be talking about our unconscious as our inner business partner and how we work with it, because so many of our choices and our decisions and our actions are coming from a place that if we're unconscious of it, we can end up places we didn't think we wanted to go, but there is a part of us that did want us to go there. So Jennifer is going to really bring us into that perspective. She also has an exercise for us tomorrow. I'm really excited for it. I hope to see you all back, and I hope you enjoy your day and you leave here feeling more rested and restored than when we started. Thanks again, Michelle.
Oh,
Have a
you're
great day, ladies.
so welcome.